One of the most difficult challenges that we face when programming for folks in the gym is balancing long-term goals and short-term goals. So today let's talk about how to balance those things in a program and what are the sort of pros and cons of sort of shifting the balance one way or the other. The danger with setting too many short-term goals, these specific measurable goals that have a very specific outcome, is that you run the risk of sort of jumping from program to program and nothing ever builds on top of the last program. And so you're sort of just bopping all over the place and you're not really building a good foundation of fitness. You're just focusing on these very specific things. The pro of short-term goal planning is that we can get ultra specific. We can jump into a specific diet, or we can jump into a specific challenge, or we can jump into maybe like a very specific program that maybe is very strength oriented, or is very bodybuilding oriented, or is teaching you a certain lift. Or maybe he's only doing one lift for every workout and you get really, really good at that one specific thing. And even if your end result isn't exactly where you wanted it to be, if you get really specific on something you want to learn, you will make faster progress than if you incorporate that just as part of a much more general approach. Now, to the general approach. The general approach is how we build capacity long term through years and decades in our entire life. The general approach is what builds strength, muscle, mobility, cardiovascular ability, helps improve our body composition or maintain our body composition. And these things are all really important. The pro of working on all of these things is that it builds this foundation, this undercurrent of fitness that we can build these specific qualities on. So for instance, if you were looking to get really, really strong and you wanted to do a specific program that was strength oriented, having a good base of muscle mass on your body is going to make it much easier to get strong. Now, a similar example would be if you were looking to go through a very restrictive diet, maybe for a month or two, and you're looking to just lose a certain amount of weight and then be done. Having muscle mass on your body to start makes it so that you'll have a much better body composition at the end of it. You'll be much more likely to be in the place you want to be at the end of the diet. So creating this foundation of general practice, this sort of jack of all trades, master of none, creating this foundation gives us a better ability to build and achieve those specific things. Now, the con of only ever doing this, using this sort of general approach, is you may never achieve very, very specific things that you want to do. So, how do we balance these two things? The trick is to start with a long-term program, to work back from where we want to be 5, 10, even a year from now, maybe 20 years from now, or maybe 50 years from now. What does that look like for us? How do we need to work now to build those qualities? You want to continue to be mobile. You want to continue to have cardiovascular ability. You want to continue to have lean mass. You need to do something that supports those goals now. And then what we do is we stack those very specific goals on top. And so if you come in the gym and you say, I want to do a powerlifting meet, it doesn't mean we're only going to do barbell lifts. What it means is we're going to use the space that we have to do as much specific work as we need. And then the rest of the time will be used to apply all of those and work on those very general goals that we have. And it's really, really important. You might be asking, it's why do we need to do both long-term and short-term things? Why can't we just do short-term things and then get back to long-term planning? Because when you only do short-term programs, you risk not maximizing your potential in health and fitness, your physical potential. And if you aren't reaching your physical potential, it's going to become infinitely harder to hit specific goals along the way. So if you have a mobility issue, if your cardiovascular system has taken a beating, if you aren't very strong, if you don't have a lot of muscle mass, or if your body composition isn't very good, it's going to be very, very difficult to jump in and say, I'm going to do this very specific thing now, because you haven't been building the general foundation that you need. And so, like I said, when we're looking to balance between short-term goals and long-term goals, what we want to do is start with the long-term planning. Look ahead at where you want to be in this longer time scale, and figure out what you need to be doing at a minimum to achieve those things. And don't throw those things out when your program does get really specific. Because while we're doing that specific program, we can still, in the background, be building these more general qualities that will help us not just achieve that specific outcome, but will help us achieve all these very specific outcomes down the road.